down.
Right, and spelling it down again.
Well, got another left hook on the jaw. And Marciano comes in for the kill. Left and right by Marciano, right cross, and Pottle sways again. Wrestling history is made.
A right to the body and an uppercut to the head, and Burbick is down. We have a new era in boxing.
It was November 1986, and Mike Tyson, only 20, had become the youngest man ever to win the world heavyweight title. Aptly labelled the Incredible Hulk, Tyson has so amazed the public with his power and aggression, he is today the most celebrated heavyweight in the world since the heyday of Muhammad Ali. As a kid from Brooklyn, Tyson was on his way to a life of crime, mugging the citizens of New York. Boxing has put him straight. Moreover, he's become an expert in the history of his chosen sport. Unlike most champions, Tyson can trace his succession to the world title right back to boxing's earliest days. And that's why I invited him to a BBC film editing studio to look back with me at those who came before him. We started with Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion, who was admired by the white man for his skill, but reviled for being black.
For his time, he was a defensive genius. Because everybody back then, in those times, would just make the fist and just take the punches, let's just move away. When he would just catch them in the air. Because back then, they only threw 2, 3 punches, and he could anticipate them, watch them catch them in the air. And back then, it was a big time. But, you know, nowadays, it would be so much difficult to do that because people are throwing 7, 8 punches at a time, consistent punches, and one of them has to catch you if you're not elusive with your body. Since he wasn't elusive with his body or his feet, he just caught the punches at the air.
What he achieved, you see, Mike, was amazing because in those days, a black boxer didn't get the opportunities that a black boxer would get today. And Johnson, in fact, was pushed around, shoved around, as so many great black fighters were in those days. And as you know, he had to chase Tommy Burns halfway around the world before he could catch up with him and get a shot at the title. In Sydney, Australia, 1908. Is that one of the fights that interests you?
Well, I'm very interested in the fight because the way he toyed with Mr. Burns so frequently. And it was just unbelievable because I watched Burns fight, and Burns was a tremendous fighter. Even though of his height differential of 5'7" he was just a tremendous fighter for his day. And I watched some guys toy with him, and it was just mind-boggling. The way somebody is toy with another great fighter, and it's the guy. This guy must be magic.
He was a very controversial man all through his career, Johnson. He was a bit like a sort of Muhammad Ali of his day, I suppose you could say. And even at the end, when he lost the title against Big Jess Willard, there was that fantastic controversy about whether Johnson had actually faked the finish. He was knocked out of the 26th round, and we've all seen the famous picture of him shielding his eyes, it said, from the sun with his right hand, which is supposed to prove that he was conscious and could have got up if he wanted to. What do you think about that?
Well, it's very difficult for me to believe that he threw the fight because of the kind of guy he was. And I watched the fight till it came out my ears, Johnson Willett, and I just constantly see that he just got hit in the chin. And there was 26 hot, grueling rounds in the Havana, Cuba sun. 26 rounds, that's a lot of pressure on both guys. If he was going to throw the fight, he would have did it in 7, 6 rounds. 26 rounds is a long time to decide when I'm going to throw a fight.
Do you think you could you prepare yourself to go 26 rounds if you had to?
Almost definitely, absolutely. Going rounds is a state of mind. If you can go 4 rounds, you can go 6. If you can go 6, you can go 10. You go 10, 15, and so on. It's in a state of mind. It's very difficult to believe that if fighters now, back then, can go 45 rounds, why can't we do it nowadays? It's only state of mind. It's only state of mind.
As far as his boxing ability is concerned, is he somebody that you would like to model yourself on?
Well, as far as the way he lives, he was the champion. He fought as a champion, and he lived like a champion. But as far as his style, no. I have no great interest in copying his style because if he was in modern day, he wouldn't make a penny.
Why do you say that? Simply because he was too clever?
Very clever, very smart, but very uninteresting. Very uninteresting. You wouldn't have to take a laxative or something to fall asleep watching him fight.
Nobody falls asleep when Tyson fights. Here he is dealing with a modern Jack Johnson.
Round number 1 scheduled 6, but hold on to your hats. Nobody thinks it's going to go that far. Well, up there he goes. He's just going to pull his way in. Those rights to the body. Left jab, right to the heart.
Quickly want to point out, first fight for Michael Jack Johnson in 2 years.
I'm glad you pointed it out because down he goes. The left hook just buried him, dug him in the ribs.
I think it was a left and a right.
Johnson went goodbye. That left hook just caught him and sent him right to the canvas.
23-pound weight advantage,
my goodness.
and he put it all there.
The right to the head, and it's all over. Goodbye.
Let's move a little bit further ahead now, Mike, because I'd like to take you on to Jack Dempsey. We've got some footage of him here in his fight when he won the title from Jess Willard. Jess Willard, obviously, is the big man. Now, this was a very savage fight indeed. This is the first round.
I love watching this fight. Oh.
Willard down.
In the case we have here, Jack Dempsey is a very, very vicious man. And as you see, he fights like someone having eaten for 5 days.
Very small man, too.
But ferociously savage.
Well, he was a hobo in his early days. I mean, he had to fight to live. And it all comes out here, doesn't it? But you see, nobody would like... When you look at Dempsey, he looks very old-fashioned, doesn't he? I mean, well, hands down, fights like somebody on the street.
No, you must understand, me and Cus spoke about this fight a lot of times, and I was telling Cus, wow, this was a great fight, he's great, Cus. And I was saying, but he said, but Mike, you must understand, this was a young Dempsey, he was wild, he was very nervous, he was very tentative, and he just wanted to get the fight with as quick as possible. Because he was this first time fighting for a title, he's 24 years old, and he's nervous, he doesn't know what's going through his mind, he just wants to win. And he's seen hurt the guy, and he's just, everything's explosive, he's tight, he's ready to go, and like, look at him now, it's just unbelievable what he's doing. He's been fighting for years. People don't know he's been fighting as a hobo for years, losing, winning, getting knocked out, having hundreds of fights, and his experience is so vast. You know, it's just so unbelievable. No one really knows how many hundreds of fights he had.
You can tell what an impression he must have made on people. To see him do that to somebody like Willard, who was quite well respected at that time. Willard had got rid of Johnson.
Look at
and
this.
Look what he's doing.
This is unbelievable. This is what you call an onslaught, somewhat to a slaughter. And would you believe people had the nerve to call Willard a coward, a yeller? Because back in these days, he got out of his seat. He didn't get knocked out on his back. But he had a broken eye socket, broken cheekbone, right, 3 broken ribs. And there was a rumor going around that Jack, he had hardened plaster on his arm, on his fist, when he went into the fight. I heard stories. I read books about what Jack Dempsey said about it. He just did whatever Jack Hearn said, though. So I'm like, Jack Dempsey, you know, I'm real biased on the situation. I love Jack Dempsey. But in those days, anything could happen because there was no, like I was saying, there was no agency or nothing to protect the fighters. It was just you're on your own.
Mike, I can tell you a little follow-up story to that plaster of Paris thing that you mentioned about Dempsey's gloves. Of course, people have always suspected there was something wrong with that fight. I don't know why, but they do. Now, I did an interview with Jess Willard. He was well into his 80s. This would be in the 1960s. I went to his house in California, and we talked about this fight, and he said, I'll show you how I was beaten. And he went to a desk and got out a little cardboard box, and there lying in the box, wrapped in wadding, was an iron bolt with a big head on it. And he said that Dempsey had clutched this in his gloved fist with the bolt sticking out at the end, and he'd hit him sideways with this so that the bolt hit him. And he said the bolt was found on the floor of the ring at the end of the fight, and he kept it, he said, for nearly 50 years, and he was still angry about it, and he was 80-odd years old. So how about that?
I can't do that.
I can't believe it.
It's very difficult for me to believe also. I refuse to believe something like that.
Dempsey, the Manasseh mauler, didn't need artificial aids. His fists were good enough. They were good enough in 1921 to destroy the idol of France, Georges Carpentier. And 2 years later, Luis Firpo of Argentina. Although Firpo did knock Dempsey clean out of the ring in the first round. But there was one man Dempsey couldn't beat, and that was the fighting Marine Gene Tunney, a superb boxer. He's the one wearing the white trunks. They met twice in the 1920s, and Tunney outpointed Dempsey on both occasions.
And by just looking at Gene Tunney, a masterful boxer, also way ahead of his time, who didn't get the credit that he deserved because he was a scholar and an eloquent gentleman.
Now here Dempsey is trying to get the title back from Tunney, and this, of course, is the fight which we shall see in a moment, the incident, the famous long count, where he puts Tunney down.
Just look at Tunney, a masterful boxer.
Different altogether in this fight to what we saw against Willard.
A very mature fighter, Dempsey.
Yes, looks much more controlled.
Very controlled.
Now this, of course, is the famous incident where Dempsey was slow to go back to a neutral corner. And although Tunney was down, Dave Barry, the referee, didn't pick the count up until he'd made Dempsey go back to the corner. So Tunney had, we reckon, we've counted the
14
thing.
seconds.
Yes, I think that's right. He had 14 seconds altogether. That's about
I don't like this fight. No, why I don't like this fight? Because I think it was something funny going on, you know, with Mr. Barry. Because in the 7th round, I think it was, Dempsey got dropped with a right hand behind the ear, and Mr. Barry count right away. He went right to the count. Right as soon as he went down, Mr. Tunney didn't go to the neutral corner. He started counting right away. And it's very hard for me to believe. And Dempsey was a very loved fighter. Even till this day, everybody still loves Jack Dempsey. But his manager, Jack Kearns, made a lot of enemies for him.
But you see, even here, if you look at this, Tunney's got his arm over the rope, as though he knows exactly where he is and what he's doing. And he gets up at 9. So if he'd had to get up 5 seconds earlier, which he would have done if there hadn't been the delay, don't you think he probably could have beaten the count? He never looks unconscious to me. He always looks as though he's in command.
I'll tell you something. He's a very cool and collected fighter, Gene Tunney. But I think if he would have got up, and I don't think there's no man in the world would have survived the attack like Dempsey was over. I don't think he would have survived.
So what you're saying, Mike, is that you regard Jack Dempsey as one of the really great old champions.
Oh, man, I'm crazy about Jack Dempsey. Because of his ferocious intensity, you know, there's no one like him. No one like him.
Do you see anything in your own fighting that compares with Dempsey?
It would be a privilege, you know, like everyone compared me to him, but I know deep inside that there's no one like Jack Dempsey.
5 of 8 have fallen in the first. Is it 6 of 9 as Tyson comes out with a strong right-hand barrage again?
This is as bad as I've ever seen Donnie Long look, but give Tyson credit. That's it. Wow.
The left hand puts him down. He collapses, and this one is over as the doctors rush into the ring.
After Dempsey and Tunney had retired, Mike, as you well know, there was a period when they had what I call caretaker champions. There were fellows like Schmeling and Sharkey and Carnera, and even Max Baer, who were not, I think, some of the really great champions.
Well, good fighting. They were all good fighters.
But, you know, when you think of the really top champions, the one coming up next is one of the all-time greats, Joe Louis. Now, here's Louis in Chicago in 37 with James J. Braddock.
What round is this?
This is the final round, the 8th round,
Okay.
in which Louis wins the title from Braddock.
And Louis showed a great deal of maturity here. He's always a game fighter because, as you know, earlier in the first round, he came back from a first-round knockdown from James Braddock, who was a very deadly puncher.
Braddock, of course, was known as the Cinderella Man because he'd won the title against everybody's expectations when he was getting on a bit, although he wasn't all that old when he won the title. He was at about 29, something like that.
Really, he was 29. And back then, guys, they were hungry fighters. They were very hungry fighters, and everybody wanted to win. And I hear the story that he was on relief when he came back to win the title. And that's how I think he got the distinguished name of the Cinderella Man.
What I always like about Louis when I look at old films of him is that he still looks to me like a modern fighter. You know, he's one of those good old champions who still look modern. You could box like this today and nobody would think it's strange.
True. And it's just unbelievable punching accuracy.
Right.
Unbelievable. His accuracy was second to none.
Louis was a very exciting young champion. There we are, all over. And Joe Louis is the new champion. You see, I always think of Joe Louis, Mike, as one of the best, and he might even be the best of all time. I don't know. I don't think one should really say that, but he might be. Do you regard him that highly?
Well, can I say something? Joe Louis, from watching him and finding out how his disposition was and the way he thought, it's very hard to see anyone beat him, even Muhammad Ali. It's very hard because of his keen instinct of boxing. He's just so smart and brilliant, you know what I mean? It's just unbelievable to see anybody beat him. It's hard to picture that. Even though he's in trouble, he's always cool, collect. He's somewhat of a person that he gives you the illusion of something. Even when he's hurt, he makes you think he's not hurt, and that's the sign of a professional.
Quick hands, so he had very quick hands.
Very accurate, with dynamite in him, and it's unbelievable.
Well, he made 25 successful title defenses, which is going some, isn't it? Particularly as there are a lot of good fighters around in those. I mean, people talk about the bum of the month club because he knocked so many people over quickly. I don't think they were bums, particularly. I just think Lewis was a very good champion who could get rid of people quickly.
Well, can I tell you something? If any of the fighters nowadays was around when Lewis was fighting, the good top fighters, even in the 60s, the Joe Frazier's, the Muhammad Ali, if they were around then they would be considered bums too. And I know no one considered them bums.
That's right.
Scaff is on the run. Blood just pouring down from the nose of Sammy Scaff.
Tyson does not throw wild punches, Sam. That's
big left hook. And there is Scaff down.
3, 4.
The count is 5.
For the rest of the year.
6.
The count is 7. This one's over.
9.
This one is over.
Now, we had a man, Mike, called Tommy Farr, came from Wales, who certainly wasn't a bum, and here he is, giving Joe Louis his first title defense in New York, 1937, and this is the 15th round, and Tommy's still there, being no knockdowns, so not a bad performance.
No, not whatsoever, because at this time, as you know, Tommy Farr is way experienced fighter. He's so much more experienced than Joe Louis. Even though Joe's the champion, he's been around longer. He's a much experienced fighter. He fought world-class fighters from America and all over the world, and he's given Joe Louis problems, you know what I mean? And everybody took him lightly, you know, they thought Joe Louis was going to just walk over him, and he was up for the fight. You know, emotional, physically, he was up for the fight, and he went in there to win. He was a clever fighter, and he gave Joe Louis problems.
Have you seen Farr before on film?
I just seen him for this fight. And this was like, you know, this was Joe Louis' first title defense, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He was a little leery, you know, he's probably still going through the stage that he's the champion of the world, and it's really difficult to believe at that particular time.
He was the sort of boxer, Tommy, who could give anybody a fight, go the distance with anybody. Little bit of a spoiler. He could make people look bad if he wanted to. There's a lot of good left-hand work going on in this, which is something you don't often see in these old heavyweight championship fights.
And he's not running. He's right there fighting with him. He's very
range.
clever. He's in range to get hit, but he's very elusive and he's moving. People nowadays probably say he's a spoiler, he was running. It's just like nowadays they would run. Now this is what you call boxing, what Mr. Fogg is doing. He's coming forward, he's jabbing, he's not going backwards. He's making a fight, because back in these days, if a gentleman were to run and stink the place out, he perhaps wouldn't get paid.
Yes, he's not a bone crusher, that's for sure.
Well, tell me about it.
You've often said that you are the youngest ever champion. You've often said you want to be the oldest as well. So, I mean, do you really think that you could reign as champion for 17 years? That's something not even Joe Louis did.
True. Maybe, but you never know. He lost interest at that particular time. But even though Joe Louis was just so much ahead of his time, even with the interest that he lost, he was still able to prevail over top-notch fighters like Billy Conn, which is one of my greatest fighters, Billy Conn. I love him so dearly. And to see that fight, I go home every day just to put in that fight. Like if I'm depressed or something, I put in that fight, and it makes my day.
In round 13, Louis shoots in 2 blistering rights and a left. He knows he's got to knock Billy out to win this fight. This is one of the greatest heavyweight championship fights in years. Watch Billy come back with a sensational flurry of punches. Is desperately trying to finish it right here and now. But the great Brown Bomber has other ideas. Watch him go to work on the light heavyweight champion. Now it's Louis coming on. This time it's Joe who has Conn groggy. Louis lands a punishing left-right combination. Conn is trying to last out the round. Watch the final 6 dynamite punches to the head, which finally put Billy down. As the referee pulls off the count, Billy will vainly attempt to rise before the fatal 10, but he doesn't quite make it. In sensational fashion, Joe Louis successfully defends his world's heavyweight championship against the magnificent light heavyweight champion of the world, Billy Conn.
What we're going to look at next, Mike, is Jersey Joe Walcott, who he and Ezzard Charles rather dominated that period after Joe Louis retired, having been the undefeated champion. And this is the fight where Walcott won the title, 37 years old, and here he is against Ezzard Charles, who was a good fighter, and this is the 7th round in which Walcott won the title, and this is a stunning knockout, it really is.
I know, but even though Walcott was a very elderly gentleman, he stayed in tremendous physical and mental frame of mind. Just look at his physique, and he's been fighting for years, and he's waited almost like, 11 years for this moment here.
That's right.
And he's very accurate, very calm, and here we come. We're going to run into the punch any moment now.
Walcott in the white trunks, for anybody who doesn't know. 37 years old.
And
Not
here
bad.
we go. Accuracy, timing, everything precise.
What a fight.
Unbelievable.
And Charles was himself a pretty good, experienced
A
fighter.
very underrated, but great fighter. Even though this game is, he wanted to get up, didn't know where he was, but he just wanted to get up and finish like a man. And this is the most jubilous moment of Jersey Joe Walcott's life.
Does it amaze you that a man of 37 can win the World Heavyweight Championship?
Not at all, because I know anything can be done if you want to do it bad enough. It's, it's in the frame of mind and how much desire and discipline you store. It's just how bad you want to do it. I think anything could be done. I really do. I don't care what it is. I think man could fly if he wants to do bad. I think anything he wants to do bad enough he can do. So it's unbelievable how great the human being is.
You see, it's amazing to me that somebody like Walcott, for instance, could sit around all those years and never winning the title and still thinking that he can do it, even at 37.
Well, when you have 5 children and you don't even have a sandwich to eat, it can it can get you to hang around for a while.
Now, Jersey Joe didn't reign too long, Mike. He was only there for a year and a bit, because the following year, Rocky Marciano came along. Now, he's interesting to me because this is the first World Heavyweight Champion that I happened to see as a reporter. And this is Walcott. This is Marciano winning the title against Jersey Joe Walcott. There's Jersey Joe coming out. And this is the 13th round. Look how short Marciano is. He's shorter than you. And you're always regarded as being one of the shorter boys around today, but he was shorter than you.
As you see, that didn't make any difference to him. He's continuing to bore through with a defense which people didn't regard him of, because he really didn't get hit as much as anyone thought he did, because there's really no way that anyone could take the amount of punishment that everybody thought that he was taking. Nobody would continue to box if they thought that he was taking that much punishment. He was game, took a great shot, timed the right hand perfectly, and he was awesome.
That was some punch, wasn't it? If we just go back again there a moment, just one thing I want to show you. Just look at this knockdown again, Mike, because Rocky hits him with a right, and then he hits him one when he's almost down. Now, that's very typical of Marciano, I'm afraid. I always thought of him as being a dirty fighter, good fighter, but very dirty. He fought a man of ours called Don Cockle, and he thumbed him, he butted him. He hit him again when he was down, like he did with Walcott. So he was a ruthless man inside the ring, and yet when you met him outside, he was the perfect gentleman.
Well, in this case, you're not in there to dance. The name of the game is fighting, and you're in there to win.
Tyson comes out slugging.
He comes out smoking like Marvis's father, Joe. Marvis must move or we're going to be out of here very, very quickly. Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Razor is down. Joe Cortez moves in to have a look, and he's going to stop the fight. It did not last 20 seconds.
You're risking your health, and when you're in that kind of situation, anything goes within the rules. But myself, I believe you should always fight within the rules.
You wouldn't deliberately hit a man who's down, would you?
No, not at all.
But some of these lads do, you see, they do. I mean, Rocky did. And, whether it was his enthusiasm and he couldn't hold it back, I don't know. But he
perhaps it was. But, some people, I'm not saying Rocky, but some people are, even though they're great, they really don't know because they're not objective, and they really don't know how great they are, and they have a little bit of a little lack of confidence, and they really don't know. And they want to hit the guy and get him out as quick as possible. I'm sure if Walcott would have got up from that shot, which I doubt seriously, the punch he hit him with, the last punch on the left hook, he was dead anyway after the right hand. So there was no way that he was going to get up.
You're absolutely right about Rocky not taking as much as people thought, because Charlie Goldman, who was his trainer, taught him a quite useful cross-arm defense.
From what I know, Charlie Goldman was a masterful boxer and had around 300 fights as a professional. When he fighting, he's from Russia, I think it was.
Originally, I think that's right, yeah. But it's interesting, isn't it? A man like Goldman, you see, can take sort of raw material like Rocky, and he really was very raw when he started out.
Yeah.
And he moulded him. He moulded him into a good champion, tough champion. Where do you rate Rocky?
You have to rate Rocky as one of the all-time greats because of his longevity and his record. You know, even though people say Ali would have beat him, it's yet to know because it never happened. So there's always doubt there. You never know what could have happened. You never saw him lost. You saw him on the brink of destruction, and that's what makes a great champion, when they're on the brink of destruction and they come back. It's very hard for me to say, well, he's better. By looking at him on this film and looking at Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier on another, film, you'll probably say, well, they're better just by looking at them and looking at their folds, but you never know unless the two actually meet. It's difficult to say.
The thing you couldn't do with Rocky, you could never sort of take away his heart. You see, it didn't matter what you did to him. In that fight with Walcott, Walcott was a mile ahead when they came out for the 13th round. It didn't make any difference.
Sure.
He got him in the
Confident.
end. He got him in the end.
But there's something that Customato told me, something about Rocky. He saw him fight the Englishman, Don Cockle, and he said when he fought Cockle, Cockle just pressed him, and he was hitting him, and he was doing well with him, and he was saying, that's the way to fight Rocky. You have to press him. Which is very hard to convince the opponent to do that.
That's right.
Because he's saying that's the way you have to fight.
You have to press the Rock. The Rock, Marciano, was the most vicious fighter of my time. Here he is, finishing the brave Don Cockle. And this is Marciano's fight with the wonderful old light heavyweight champion, Archie Moore. Moore actually dropped the Rock in the second round, but it made no difference. Ancient Archie had to give way in the 9th. And at that point, Marciano put his feet up and retired. His successor was Floyd Patterson. Now, he was guided to the title by a remarkable manager, the late Customato, the same man who rescued Tyson from a life of crime.
Well, Cus, he was the kind of person, he loved his trade as well, but he was the kind of man, he thought more about principles than anything and about the care of his fighter. Nothing meant more to him. The money, nothing meant more. I never met a person like that, which principle meant everything. He wouldn't sacrifice the fighter's, his pride or his health for money or nothing. He wouldn't put his fight in unless he knew his fighter could win. Don't care who. If the guy was a great fighter, his fighter's fight, he wouldn't put him in unless he knew his fighter could win. Mm. And that's what you call, great caring for the welfare. His objective was just to make me independent of myself, where I didn't have to need him anymore. And, I feel bad because I wish he was here to watch me become a success, because at times I was a young kid, we used to always talk about it, and he always knew it would happen, and he used to tell me to be careful of this, to watch out for this, and everything that he said when he was alive came true. And I feel I was blessed to even know him, you know what I mean? Because everything that's happening now, I've been pre-prepared for it when I was a young kid because of Cuss.
He achieved something remarkable in the States because Cuss single-handed broke up the monopoly that was around in US boxing at that time, and he took Floyd Patterson to the title and broke up that cartel that was in force in America at that time.
Well, since, as you know, time heals everything, and people who are not boxing enthusiasts like yourself and me and Jim Jacobs, they seem to forget that, and they start to remember, just Don King or Bob Arum or those promoters, but they don't know Cuss started everything, because it was, like you said, it was communism in boxing, you know what I mean? You had to deal with them or else.
That's right.
Make $5,000 for defending your world champion, $500 for fighting main events, and it was unbelievable. Like, fighters who broke their neck, sweat, blood, and tears for years, they had to go through that. You know what I mean? It wasn't fair. And Cuss wasn't only doing it for his fight, he was doing it for all the fighters in general. But the IBC or whatever they had the fighters and the managers too intimidated, and they wanted to, but they were scared, because he single-handedly, like you said, took care of everything by himself. And it took a great deal of courage to do that, and he was a remarkable man.
Well, Cuss, of course, took Floyd Patterson, who's there with him, to the World Heavyweight Championship. Our footage here, Mike, is of when Floyd won the title back. He lost it to Johansson, the white man here from Sweden, and this is the fight in which Floyd became the first man ever to regain the World Heavyweight Championship. This is the 5th round.
And if you watch this, I know actually what happened. Ingemar Johansson has a jab that's annoying, that, he keeps it out to keep you disturbed and throw you off balance. And Floyd's objective was to use his jab as much as possible for Mr. Johansson wouldn't use his. As you see, he's using his jab very often. And he knows right here with this jab, he can throw that devastating, thunderous right hand, which he used so effectively in most of his previous fights. Boom. Oh, my God. There we go.
Left hand. Yes, they used to call Johansson's right hand Ingo's bingo. But it wasn't very much in evidence on this night.
He did well to get up from that.
I know, but if you just watch right here how Clip hasn't turned Tiger. Unbelievable, boom, unbelievable hand speed. I never saw a heavyweight with quicker hand speed than Floyd Patterson. The fastest heavyweight punching accuracy hand speed ever.
Mike Tyson takes 2 steps forward, lets go with a couple of lefts, now a right, a left. He's got him down.
There's never been anybody with hand speed like that. As you know, it comes to, he didn't want to hit him behind his head, he turned him around. He wanted to face him when he hit him. I remember him saying this. But before he hits him with the left hook, I noticed he hit him with a great body shot. And it's just unbelievable. He's just a young kid here. Oh, the body, unbelievable. Boom, that body shot hurt, set up with the left hook. And there we go. Look at it, look at his
legs are quivering.
They're quivering from the nerves, and it's unbelievable. You would think that he would be dead, and it's just unbelievable the amount of punishment that the human body could take.
Floyd, now you see, was one of the gentleman champions, wasn't he? We talked about Rocky Marciano being a bit dirty, at least I did. And Floyd was just the opposite. He never would take unfair advantage of anybody.
Well, believe it or not, even though Cuss handled both me and Cuss, I never knew Mr. Patterson that well. We met a few occasions, but we never really got intimate with each other. We never spoke. He's a very quiet and introvert person. He doesn't speak at all. If you're in the room with him, you'd be surprised if he said 3 words. He doesn't speak. He's a very quiet and polite person, and he doesn't speak. And it just was a pleasure for me just to be around him. He didn't have to talk.
I am the greatest.
This man, of course, did talk, endlessly and humorously, from the moment they slipped the gold medal over his head at the 1960 Rome Olympics. Cassius Clay. Here he is in an early pro fight, the pupil taming the old master, Archie Moore. And now, arriving in London for the fight that's become the most fondly remembered British fight of all time. The first fight with Henry Cooper, before Clay became world champion. It's one fight I never tire of watching.
Have you seen this before?
I've seen it. This is the fight when Mr. Cooper got his eye cut.
That's right. He got him cut in both fights, actually. We got it cut in both fights.
But is this the bad one?
This is the one where he puts...
Look at the crowd going crazy.
Oh, absolutely. He came over and said that he was going to jive in 5, and Henry would go in 5, and of course this was the end of the 4th round. They got him back. He looked in a pretty bad way.
I heard a rumor about this fight that I won't mention any names, but someone, accidentally ripped the glove open.
Well, it's a famous story. I think there are photos to prove that that glove was split in the 4th round. Yeah. I don't think it was deliberately cut, as people make out. But it's a good story. But Henry could hit. You see, Henry had a terrific left hook, and he could put anybody away with that particular punch.
As you see, evidently it almost did it to the greatest.
But he did cut, and he did it to the greatest. Yes, one wonders what history might have been if that had happened a minute earlier in that round. And he was a good finisher, Henry. I mean, he might have finished him.
No, what's funny, Henry will always be remembered for this. You go down in history, and we remember the guy that brought it out of volley.
Sonny Liston, the menacing Liston, was the new world champion after twice smashing Floyd Patterson out inside a round. Now the brash Cassius Clay was taking him on. Hardly given a chance, Clay. The odds were 7-1 against him. The odds were wrong.
Coming to the end of the first round, and it's been a sensational first round. And Clay has stolen the honours in it. There's the bell for the first, and they're still fighting. They haven't heard the bell, and they're still going on. The bell's gone, and the referee hasn't heard it. And they still went on fighting. About 8 seconds after the end of the first round, they didn't hear the bell, and neither did referee Barney Felix. And now he starts his clowning again. He's making faces for the photographers. This is what he's been doing all through his training. Look how confident this boy is. And what's happened? Clay has won! Clay has won! Something has happened in Liston's corner. They're not going on. And Cassius Clay has won after 6 rounds, and there's the champion, the ex-champion. sitting despondently in his corner. A sensation to end all sensations. It's all over at the end of the 6th round, and Cassius Clay is the new champion of the world.
I am the king of the world.
Hold it.
I'm pretty.
Hold it. You're not that pretty.
I'm a bad man.
Wait.
I shook up the world. I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
He shook up the world, all right. And when he and Liston met a second time, the world was shaken up again. This is one of the most curious fights I've ever seen.
Muhammad Ali, as you know, since winning the first fight, is tremendously confident. Look at him, coming right out to meet Sonny Liston, which no man ever did. And when they did, like Cleveland Williams, the result was a foregone conclusion.
I think it confused Sonny Liston because he didn't expect people to come to him like that. But Liston was, you see, Liston again was a pretty good champion. When you saw what he did to Patterson in 2 fights, and now this young man is treating him as though he's nothing.
And due to tremendous challenges like Big Cat Williams and Dora Foley, man, unbelievable.
But this has got a very controversial ending, as you know, and I'd just like to hear your opinion of what happened here. People still talk about it and still don't understand it. But we'll see exactly what happens. He actually puts him down with the right hand, which at the time I was at this fight, and I didn't think it was much of a punch, and I'm not sure now. It's very quick.
Look at this unbelievable movement on Ali. He makes Sonny Liston seem like he's there from different times.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely right. Well, he was the first heavyweight, really, to move around like this, like a lightweight. But there it is. That's the first of the rights. Now, the next one is the one that puts him down.
He times him as he throws a left hand, he puts it right over it. And it's so brilliantly fast.
It's coming here, I think.
Unbelievable.
Look at him.
Look at him. He's something very special.
Funny, it all seems a lot longer now than it did at the time.
Happened so quick when you were there, huh?
Yep.
Because I get the electricity in the air.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Let's just go back a bit, shall we? Let's just see that again. So it's so quick.
Harry, it's tremendously boom.
Yeah, look at that. Right hand over the top. It doesn't... At the time, I thought he'd only just hit him up on the temple, and it didn't seem enough to knock him out. But in any case, there's a confusion here about the count. Jersey Joe gets a little bit confused about the count, and in fact, allows Liston to get up. Now, Liston thinks he's beaten the count, and Jersey Joe now walks away to the timekeeper to check, and they start fighting again.
This is, I forgot who the person was. I forgot the man from Ring Magazine.
Nat Fleischer.
Nat Fleischer had called Joe Walcott over to say, the count of 10, it's the count of 10. And he had no right doing that. He had no right doing that. The fight should have continued, and he shouldn't have had no right doing that. And personally, I think Sonny Liston was hurt because the punch was so fast, and he didn't see the punch coming. And as I was saying before, earlier, the punches that really knock you out and hurt you are the ones you don't see coming. If you can see a punch, you can anticipate it, graze it, else when you get hit, you anticipate, you take the sharp. But when you don't see it, it's just like, you don't know, and you just go.
You see, even in those days, even though he'd beaten Liston twice, certainly in this country, Muhammad Ali was still not at that time regarded as being a really genuine heavyweight champion. They all thought there was something very strange about those 2 fights with Liston. And it took quite a long time for Ali to establish himself, because he, eventually beat everybody inside. But it took time for him, certainly in this country, to become recognized. They still thought of him as a clown. Nobody had seen boxing like that before from a heavyweight. Everybody thought he was dancing around too much. He couldn't be a good heavyweight.
He was a throwback to, believe it or not, Jack Johnson, who was also not only a great fighter, but very theatrical. I mean, Jack Johnson would have guys talk to him, hold him, beat him up. Can I give you 10 grand? You cut my lip. And talk to the people, how you doing, Mr. Jeffries? And flirt with the ladies at the ringside. And being black at the time was tremendous. It's something that they couldn't handle. And Muhammad Ali, 60 years later or something like that, 40 years later, it's unbelievable. People are looking at this saying, God, we can't have a guy like that. He's a clown. He says, I'm going to knock you out in this round, and he does it. This can't be true. It's absolutely, disastrous.
That's right. But he changed. He changed everybody's idea about what heavyweight boxing could be.
Surely, because people have the typical heavyweight boxer. The heavyweight champion of the world is a symbol of the strongest man in the world. Even though we have powerlifters, weightlifters, when you're a heavyweight champion of the world, the first thing, he's the strongest person in the world. He can knock anyone out. He's a very serious individual. He's supposed to be an idol to the kids. He's supposed to never do anything wrong, which they are right. But people like him changed the course of history.
Oh, he's got him with the right hand. He's got him. Oh, you can't believe it. And he's doing his shuffle. And I don't think Foreman's going to get up. He's trying to beat the count, and he's out. Oh, my God, he's won the title back at 32.
Ali's greatest moment in Zaire. He still had one or two good fights left in him. The thriller in Manila with Joe Frazier in 1975. And that very close encounter in New York with Ken Norton, who always was a problem to him. He once broke Ali's jaw. But the fight he never should have taken was the 1980 mismatch with the new champion, Larry Holmes. Ali was finished, and Holmes, in the end, became almost reluctant to hit him. Holmes was once Ali's sparring partner. Now, he was a good champion.
I think he's a tremendous fighter. He says things that sometimes he should hold his tongue on and shouldn't be said, but I guess that's his nature, to say things and speak that way derogatory about something.
Up there with some of the best, doesn't he?
Very great fighter, and a very, it's a privilege to have him come from our country, and I'm a great fan of his.
Mike, it's wonderful to talk to you because you obviously have a tremendous knowledge of boxing. Are there any old-time British fighters that you were particularly keen on, that you've seen on film?
Coming here, I was hoping that you showed them before, because I would give an intellection where most of the British boxing fans don't have an understanding of guys like Owen Moran or the great Ted Kid Lewis.
You know about Owen Moran, do you?
Masterful, classy boxer. It's a shame that he never became champion. I love watching him fight. He was so ahead of his time. It's hard to believe that
he went to America around about 1906, 1907, and he fought men like Abe Attell, who were great fighters.
Great Abe Attell.
He got 2 draws with Attell.
And just to watch him box and do the movement, the lateral movement, I was like, I watched him knock out Battling Nelson. And I was like, God, this is unbelievable. This English guy fighting like this. It was just so classical, but American style.
It's amazing, and he was good. He never won a title, not even a British title.
No.
Amazing, no. Well, he went to America and did a lot of his fighting there, you think so?
Because perhaps the money was there, and that's why he went, right, for the income.
I knew Ted Kid Lewis. I knew him quite well, because he lived to a fair old age.
Perhaps the greatest fight ever came out of here. If you really think about it, even though you have Lonigan, but you rate a fight up on his longevity. And for years, Ted Kid Lewis has been beating the greatest American fighters. For years. He's been the #1 in the world for years. Not just like, he won the title like 4 times, 3 times, and it's just unbelievable. And the guys he had to fight, Jack Britton, Mickey Walker, Benny Leonard, the who's who of boxing back then, the greatest of the greats, and he still prevailed #1.
You see, Lewis was another of those men who went up through the weights. He was British featherweight champion in his early days.
George Carpentier. I have to fight George Carpentier.
Yeah.
The referee struggling to break the 2 men. The referee says break clean. A tremendous right by Georges Carpentier. Lewis is down.
I don't know what his feelings. I never read his feelings about the fight, but I'm sure you know. He got up. Carpentier went to help him up. And he said, "Get off me. I don't need your help."
Well, he complained to the referee. He turned away to the referee and got hit.
But, that was his mistake. He shouldn't have done that. And Carpentier is the kind of gentleman that would take full advantage of something like that.
We had another very good fighter. Well, I say we had. He's still with us today. Jack Kidberg.
He beat Kid Chocolate. He fought Kid Chocolate. I remember him. He fought on Cantonary. I remember Cantonary stopped him for the junior.
Mushy Callahan.
I remember he was the champ. Junior welterweight champion.
Junior welterweight champion. So we've had 1 or 2 good ones in this country, Mike. And
ones to be proud of.
We hope we might find one suitable to fight you.
As I say, I love this country and it'd be a pleasure.
Well, we have Mr. Bruno. Would like to see a little bit of footage of him. We've got
Surely, why not?
We've got some stuff for Frank here.
I like Frank. very good man. You know, I like that he's a gentleman. And I respect fighters that are gentlemen. You know, they're rough fighters in the ring. I respect that. To be in the ring is different, but to be outside the ring to be a gentleman. Because people consider boxers a stereotype. They just rock dumb guys, no class, can't speak. And well, in America, they just, you know, just dummies. And the only thing they do is fight. And when you meet gentlemen like Frank and myself and other fighters that conduct themselves well, you know what I mean, you gain a respect for them.
In Mike Tyson, boxing has a new, young, and respected heavyweight champion. A student outside the ropes, a savage inside them.
This one is going to be over, I believe.
The winner by a TKO and youngest and new WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Tyson.
Okay, Tyson, Thomas, you're going to box for 12 rounds. You know the rules of boxing. Avoid using any kinds of foul. Don't throw any punches during the break. Is that understood? Seconds, come on, Spartan.
Thomas is in all kinds of trouble. Still 30 seconds to go in the round.
You see that jab? You see again. It keeps him off balance.
You gotta go to war with this guy a little bit. You understand? But you gotta put the pressure on him. Get the jab, snap it. You're pushing it out. You gotta snap it out.
And a right hand behind it. Thomas in trouble again. And now Tyson moves in for the kill. Two uppercuts and a left hand. Thomas trying to hold on. Serious trouble. And down he goes. It's over. It is over. Thomas did not make it by the count of 10.
He is the WBA and WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. He is the IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Tony TNT Tucker.
So is Tucker. Great finish. A pretty entertaining evening. It's over.
For the winner by unanimous decision and undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson.
What he needs to do now is either tie his man up. He can't move because he's not steady. He needs to hold on.
It will take every bit of savvy that this man has. Tries to fight back. Still 40 seconds left.
He's still on Queer Street.
And took another big right hand. 30 seconds left. Tyson just looking for the one shot. Whoa. 15 seconds left.
Tyson still has to be careful because that shot. That's
huge
it.
Right hand.
That should be it.
And down goes Holmes, and that's going to be it. It's over. That's all.
We expected, and Spinks ready to mix it up with him. Tyson along the ropes doing damage.
Michael Spinks has to keep moving because every shot.
Uppercut landed inside, and Spinks went down. It was the left uppercut.
I was surprised there was a body shot that put him to the canvas.
And that is the first time Michael Spinks has ever been down in a professional fight.
And he's down again and in serious trouble. A right hand right on the chin.
He's not going to make it. It's all over.